Herkese selamlar, hepiniz hoş geldiniz. Bugün sizlerle beraber arkadaşlar muhteşem bir etkinlikle gene karşınızdayız. Hoş geldin Hilal.
Hoş buldum. Selamlar herkese, iyi akşamlar.
Arkadaşlar ben de bir yandan chat'i okumak istiyorum. Çünkü genel arkadaşlar şöyle bir selamlar falan yazarsa çok iyi olur. Çünkü Carlo'nunla konuştuğumuz üzere biraz etkileşimli bir etkinlik olsun istiyor. Bu konuda hepinizin bol bol chat'e yazmasını istiyoruz.
Kesinlikle.
Okay.
Hem etkinlik
Tamam.
esnasında kafanıza takılan ya da sormak istediğiniz bir şey olursa da aynı hani böyle eş zamanlı sorabilirsiniz. O da çünkü biraz böyle interaktif gitmek istediğini belirtti. Diyelim. Bu arada benim internetim ara ara gidip gelebilir. O konuda beni uyarırsanız güzel olabilir. Elektriklerim yok çünkü.
Okey. Şimdi çok güzel. Olayı aslında özetlemiş olduk. Yavaştan biz Carlo'yu almak istiyoruz sahneye ve ondan sonra da olay dediğimiz gibi zaten İngilizce ilerleyecek. Soruları da İngilizce yönelttiğiniz sürece biz de yayının sonuna doğru kendilerine sorularınızı yönetebiliriz. Tamamdır. Yavaştan alıyorum Carlo'yu.
Hi. Hello everyone.
Hi Carlo.
Nice to meet you. Fine, thank you. What time is it there?
It's 9 p.m.
Okay, so just 1 hour late than me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Like before start, do you want to tell about yourself? Maybe you can introduce yourself to our guests.
Of course, I'm Carlo, as you already said before, and I'm a Flutter Google developer expert, and I'm based in Italy. So we are more or less near because we are still in the same sea, as I like to say, because still in Mediterranean. And I also work as a Flutter developer full-time for my company, Pivotal Technologies. And what else? I like Flutter. I have my Dash here with me to make this talk for you. And I'm really happy to have the opportunity to help you with learning more about Flutter. I would like to know what your attendees think about Flutter, because for me it was a game changer, because I was an Android developer before becoming a Flutter developer, and now I can go multi-platform really easy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool.
What I want to say to the attendees, this will be not a normal talk. So it won't be just I talk until the end, and then if you have any question, you can do those at the end. But feel free to write any question, possibly in English, because I can't understand Turkish, sadly. And I will be more than happy to answer and change my code to see if we can answer your question live. So if you have any question, just do it, and we will see if we can render this experience more interactive. It will be fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Like if there is any question on the chat, we can ask to Carlo before start. Otherwise, we can move with the presentation.
Of course. Yeah. So, please tell me when the screen is visible, because with the screen I can't see the actual.
Yeah, it's now. We can see the screen, your screen.
We can. So
we can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay, so I can start. I
Yes.
don't really know the level of the attendee today. So if you don't understand something, please tell me. I'm more than happy to explain to you. For this presentation, I prepared a really basic Flutter application. So as you can see here, we just have a material application with a scaffold that is basically the most basic container for a Flutter application. And inside, I put my animated content that we will animate it in few moments. If we go inside the animated content, we just see that it is a stateful widget. I choose a stateful widget because we need to change the state of our widget in order to trigger the animation. And I just put a container that we will animate and a switch list style on the bottom that you can see here to make the animation happen. Right now, I put something really basic. Basically, I put an animated opacity that I will explain in a moment in order to show the text you see here. Basically, what will happen is that when I switch to animate, this switch, it will animate to visible. Then we will see how. As you can see, we have a text in the center. We should see the text here, but we don't see that because it is with opacity 0 right now, so it's hidden. Let's see what's happened when I click on the animate. As you can see, the animated text appeared with a smooth animation from opacity 0 to 1. But how this can happen? First of all, when we use animated widget, intrinsic animation widget, like animated opacity, animated container, and so on, we don't really need to handle almost anything. What we just need to use is one of the few properties of the widget. In the case of animated opacity, for example, we just need to have the opacity property defined. Then we just need to tell the widget how it should be in any state. And for this, I defined a Boolean active that corresponds to the switch. So when the switch is true, active, the active property will be true. When I click on this to shut it off, it will be false. We can see the simple switch list style here. Basically, it's just have the title animate, the value that corresponds to our property in the state, and the unchanged callback that just call the set state to change the new value. Now we have a simple opacity property in the animated opacity that when we switch from true to false, it will switch from 1 to 0 and the opposite. This is enough to make the animation happen because all the intrinsic widget will twin your animation based on its value. What does it mean, twin? What we need to define for an implicit animation widget is also a duration. Handling a duration, it means that in the span of that time, in this case 1 second, the value will move from one of the value to the other. So if I set, for example, 1 and 0, in the span of 1 second, it will give the animation all the value that are between the two values. So you will have a smooth animation. Another example that I can do to show that is with the animated sides, because it will be more simple to understand. Let's see how we can do that. First of all, we should replace this widget with something else. So instead of having a text, let's save a container. Let's remove the text and put here a container. In order to make it visible, we should give the container a size. So let's, sorry, I changed it maybe too much. So inside the expanded, let's put a center to have our container centered. And then as a child, let's put the container that I told you before. Okay, In order to have it visible, we need two things. The first is a size, let's say 850, and width 100. Then we need the color, because if we don't set a color, it will be transparent. Okay, now we have our container. Let's see that we want to animate this container. The first thing I will try to do is to change the size. If I change the size to 200, for example, it will change without an animation. What I can do to use the animation? In this case, for the container, we have two ways. I can either use another intrinsic widget that is called animated container. As I said, the important part of the animated widget is the duration. So let's set a duration. Let's say duration seconds 1. And now, wherever we change a property, it will animate in the span of 1 second. It means that at the time 0, if I was at 100 and I put it to 200, in the span of 1 second, it will be 101, 102, 103, and so on. Now we can really see because the auto reloading is not behaving correctly, but we can fix that by changing with the animation. So let's see active, like before. With active, I want it to be 200, and without active, I want it to be 100. Let's change it in the code. As you can see, simply switching the widget will change the size. And this will happen in the span. For example, if I do 4 seconds, it will be extremely slow, slow. The thing that I really like about the animated container is that you can also revert the animation and it will start from where it was with the correct direction. What I mean, if, for example, while it's still shrinking, I tap it again, it will start from the shrink to go back to the previous value. So we don't need the animation to end in order to have the animation completed. Another thing is in the animated container that we can change is the color, for example. If I put at the same way that the status active should be not only bigger, but also in another color, we can see that the animation will occur even with the change. The animated container is the most complex animated widget because basically you can change any property of the container and it will be animated to the new value. So I can change the padding, I can change the size, I can change the border. I can, for example, let's say that we have a shape, decoration here. And we have a box decoration with shape around the rectangle border, if I'm not mistaken. But okay. Moment. Okay, I don't remember right now the decoration for the rounded corner, so don't worry. For this one, please trust me. If you assign a rounded border, it will animate also the border to that. Let's see what else we can do. As I said, the animated container is one of the way we have, we may change the size. But sometimes our widget can't be an animated container. For example, it needs to be a text that will change the text we display. In that case, or even another container that we need to transform that. How we can do if we can't use the animated container in order to change the size? This is simple because we can leave this as is, and we can wrap our container with another widget called animated size. Of course, the error is the usual. We need a duration. Now, as you can see, something changed because the color will change immediately because the container is not anymore animated. So the change of the property color will be not handled again by the animated container. This will means that the color will switch immediately, but the sides, as you can see, will be animated by the animated sides. When we shrink it, the container will shrink immediately. So we have this issue that the animated sides can't be animated correctly while shrinking because the container itself will become immediately smaller. So for most of the case, the animated container is the one you should use. But in some case, for example, when you have two list items, you can hide a list item by defining a size of 0, and it will shrink correctly. In that case, you don't have the animated container capability. What else we can do with the animation? Let's see. Imagine that you want to have a box that fall from the top to the bottom. How you can do that? Inside, instead of using the center, we can do the same by using an alignment. And we want our box, let's remove some widgets, sorry. Align, not alignment. Alignment is the property, sorry, but I'm live coding, this can happen. Let's see that we have our box in the top, and we don't want to change the width anymore. Let's say that we just want a square box that should fall, and also the color, we don't want it animated, so let's fix that to red. Let's read now this code really quick. We have this expanded, that is the space that we have from the top of the application to the switch list tile. So from here to here. And inside, I put an align to tell my widget where it should be. For example, it can be top center and it will be where you see that. It can be left, top left, and will be on the corner. And also it can be to the bottom. Okay. If I want to have the widget working with my switch list tile, I set the active property to check. If you are not familiar with the ternary operator, it works like this. You set a Boolean condition. If it's true, it will return the first value before the column. Otherwise, it will return the second. So if it's active, we want it to the bottom. Otherwise, we want it to the top. Now it's behaving like we want. So if I tap, you can see it will switch from bottom to top, from top to bottom. But we want it animated. You can search on the documentation. We have a lot of widgets that start with animated. So if you go to Flutter documentation and start writing alignment, it will suggest you a lot of widgets. In those list of widgets, you will find also the animated. As you can see, we have a lot of options. As you can see, we have in the option the animated align. The animated align, what is missing, you should know right now. Now we have the missing duration. That's correct. So let's put a duration. And let's see what's happened. When you see this warning is because I should define it as a const just for the optimization, but since I'm really showing some example, I'm not doing that. I should, but I don't. Now, as we can see, when I tap, the animation is complete. I did really nothing. The only thing that I did is changing align to animated align and put a duration. This simple change my application from this to this. I see that we have a question. Let's see, just a second. I check really quick what is. I used the animated container before, and I got a problem with icon that I gave sides then when I'm changing the size of the container. So what I can do for that? The problem with the icons is that the icons use a different render method. So it's hard to have the icon behaving correctly inside a container that is not fit for its size. My best suggestion for that, it's either using the animated icon and change the size directly, or use an image instead of the icon. Then you can do the resize properly. Okay, so as I said, just changing that will change our behavior. But now you may say, okay, but this doesn't look really well because something falling should not fall like that in a linear motion. We can do that. We can do something about that. Absolutely, yes. Any animated widget, and by any I mean any, have the curve parameters. The curve describe how the animation should behave in the time span. If we check, we have the curves as that contains some prepackaged curve that we can use. Any of these curve is something different. You can go to the documentation and you will see immediately some of the example that you can use for the curves. But right now, I will use the bounce out. If we go to the class definition, we will see that the bounce out is a curve that first grow, so it accelerate, and then it will shrink. So it will be an oscillating, so it will go back to some point and will go again to the end until this kind of oscillation will shrink to zero. What it means in easy word, let's see the effect. and it will be really clear. Now we have our widget falling like there is some kind of gravity. And if I want, for example, to use another curve while falling, I can do that, because right now we are just changing gravity from top to the bottom. It's kind of fun if we want to do some kind of game, and it will be interesting. But can we use a different curve for the falling and another for the going up? Of course we can. Let's just define the curve we want to use based on the state. So when it's active, it will be bounce out. Otherwise, it will be, let's say, accelerate. Oh, there is the decelerate, sorry. Decelerate, we start fast and slow. Let's see what's the effect in this case. We have two different curves. And as I said to you before, we can even stop in the middle and it will behave correctly. We saw how to make the curve, how to make the direction, and how to animate a line, color, sides. Now we will see something else, but before that, if you have any question, I will answer that. I saw that we have a question about the performance. I have to say that Flutter is really good at repainting your interface. So if you use the prepackaged animation with the animated container, animated align, animated sides, and so on, you will have no issue in the performance. Of course, I don't know what will happen if you maybe put too many animation at the same time on the screen, but usually it's in the normal use. I never encountered poor performance even on really old phone, as long as they support Flutter, of course. Now, we spoke about having different items on the screen, right? Let's do a little experiment. Let's put our widget back in there, and let's put something over that. Someone can tell me which widget can we use to bring two widgets one above the other? Anyone knows? I wait for the comment in a meanwhile. In the meantime, I just put a container, another container under the previous one. So let's say a container with color black, and it will be wider than this one, but thinner. Let's say with about infinity and 8, maybe 10. Or black, I said. Yes, we can totally do that is with Flutter. Maybe it will require more effort than that, but we can totally do that. Okay, now I put something to block my red box. And I want to animate it to the bottom. What's happening if I try to animate it now? Yay, nothing. Why? Because now it's inside a column. So really changing the alignment doesn't change anything, because the red box will be constrained to this space because we have the block after that. I could remove the block and it will fall, basically, if I just do that. Comment this part or delete it. It will fall. It didn't because maybe, oh, okay, because I'm still using a column, so it won't unless I put the axis sides, my axis sides max. It should do the trick. No? Oh, okay, because the animated alignment still doesn't know what we want to do. Okay, so let's get back to this example. This is what to say that the widget we need to use to put something about something about over another widget. We should use stack. I didn't saw if someone wrote the same. Now something happened. Basically, everything moved on its own because the container understood that it should be to the bottom because the animated alignment will work inside a stack because it will take all the space he needs. But our line will be on the top. First of all, we need to tell the container where to be. For this, we should wrap it with a widget, a positioned widget. The positioned widget serves the purpose to tell the widget inside the stack where it should be. Since we know the container, the top container is 8100, this line should be from the top 110. The size of the container plus 10? No, that's the size of the container. Don't worry. Okay. Let's animate again. And this will happen. What happened? Happened that the widget we animated fell to the ground, but the widget on the top stayed there because we didn't told the widget what to do. How we can fix that? Of course, we can use another animation. Let's wrap this widget with another intrinsic animation widget. Let's say, oh, sorry. Okay. Let's say the widget we need is the animated slide. What we are missing here? Yes, the duration. And one other thing, the offset. Offset is where this widget should be at any given time. The first value is the X translation, so along the X-axis, the horizontal axis, and it can assume any value, but 0 means in the center, so in the position it is in this moment. -1 means the sides of the widget shifted by its sides to the left. 1 means the sides of the widget switched to its sides to the right. To put it in a better example, if I say the offset should be at 0.5, it will shift of half the sides of the widget to the left, to the right. Let's see this example just to understand. So when I save now, okay, what's happened? I lost my widget. Anyone saw my widget? Maybe it's because I said there should be double infinity and not something like, sorry. Yes, it was just that. Okay, so 0 will be, as you can see there. If it will be 0.5, will be half its side to the right. Okay. So we need to define full sides. For doing this, if we need to understand the sides of the window, we need to use the media query of context. Side. This will give us the sides of the window, but we need one of the sides, the width. Okay. Now the side will be that. And if we switch to 0.5, will be half the side to the right. Okay, what we want to do? We want to remove this widget from the from under the box in order to have the top fall. So if active, remember active, the box is on the bottom. Active, go to -1. So it will go to the left. Otherwise, 0. What happened? That when I tap here, oh my God, it works, but it's really awful. What's happening here? I don't have any control apparently on what is happening during the animation. So if I start everything and everything have the same duration, it will of course do something like that, because when I start it, it will start everything at once, and we don't have the falling animation doing properly. And you can see, you can say, well, I can just do this really short, so we will have the, sorry, I can't do that, milliseconds. We can do this really short in order to have the impression that it will go away before it falls, almost, but also it won't work on the opposite. Do we have any way to fix that? Yes, and it involves curve. First of all, let's put the duration the same of the two animation like before. Yep. And then let's define a curve. How can curve help us in this moment? We have a curve called interval. The interval have a begin and a end. What this means? This means that the begin, it will start after the wall value can go to from 0 to 1 in a double. So for example, if we have an animation during 1 second, and I say this should begin at 0.1 and end at 0.5, it will mean that the animation will start at 0.1 tenth of a second, and it will end at 0.5 tenth of a second. So in order to understand better, let's comment this for now. So let's comment really quick this widget, and let's leave just our line. Let's use a huge duration just to understand. I expect this duration, this animation will move in 10 seconds. But what will really happen here is 1/10 of 1 second, it's 1 of 10 seconds, sorry, it's 1. So the animation will really start after 1 second, and it will end not at the 10 seconds mark, but it will end at the 5 second mark. Let's see. I tap 1, it started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. the rest, it's not what we need. The truth is in the opposite. Okay? And then how can this help us? Simple. Because if we have the animation during the same time, we can now play with curves. So if we say the total animation duration should be 1 second, but the curve should be like this, we don't need to define, no, we need to define a curve here. So we say that this should start after 0.1 and it should end at the end of the animation. Meanwhile, the rug pull of our line should start at 0 and should end after 0.1 time. What this means? That this will start at 0 time and 1/10 of a second. Meanwhile, this will start in 1/10 of a second and then will continue for the rest of the time. We can even do it really slow just to see the effect in place. I know, I'm just ignoring for now the actual retard because we still have that issue to solve. So as you can see, after the line disappeared, the other start falling. And the first question you may have is, but in this way, we lost our actual curve. The box is not falling anymore, it's just sliding to the bottom. And what we can do to fix that? Any interval have a curve parameters. What this means? That in the curve parameters, we can actually use our real curve as before to have it sorted properly. So we have our curve 0.11. When active, will bounce out, starting from the 1/10 of the duration. And when going back, it will use the accelerate. Let's see if it works right now. Maybe it should be faster because like these. Oh, that's cool. I think it crashed. It crashed the application, but it's something that just happened. The best part of doing live. Oh, and I also ran by mistake on another device. That's fine. Now we will see the animation done in iOS instead of macOS, but that's fine. Oh no, it's starting again in macOS. My bad. So this one can be closed. Meanwhile, it is building. If you have any question, I'm more than glad to answer that. It will take some seconds, so it's starting. Okay, it started again. Let's recap. I added the curve in the interval. I used a more meaningful duration because the 10-second duration was too fast for the falling. And we have our interval curve working with the actual curve. How I can fix the back? Simple. The same way we defined the curve, the same way we define the curve interval with the active, we can do the same with the interval. So when going from top to the bottom, this should wait for 0.1/10 animation, so active. And then when the opposite, it should not wait. At the same time, we want that the animation should complete at the end of the time only when going down, sorry. In the other case, it should finish 1/10 earlier, because we have the opposite issue on the getting back. The same needs to be done here. When falling, it should be start immediately, the removal of the widget. Otherwise, it should start basically when the animation already ended. For the bottom, the same thing. Sorry. For the going up, the end of the animation, same thing. It should end at 0.1 when falling, but at the end of the time when going up. Let's see what's happening here right now. Voila, it works. So this was one of the most simple way you have to handle animation in your Flutter application. You have a lot more widget that you can use. Because, for example, I can wrap everything you are seeing here. I'm not now going to exaggerate what we see. So stay with me because it will be really weird to see. Let's say that we want to rotate the whole interface while doing the rest of the animation. We have the animated rotation. The animated rotation, as usual, needs a duration. Let's say 1 second. And another parameters is the turns. The turns is the amount of 360 degrees turn that this widget should do. Let's say that when it's active, it should be 0.5, otherwise it should be, sorry, I wrote it wrong, 0.5, otherwise should be 0. What this means? This means that it will rotate 180 degrees when active. I rotated the whole widget. So what will happen is the animate will be here. The box that will falling will rotate in the meantime and will go up. It will be really weird to look at, but it's just to let you understand that you can put any kind of animated widget inside the other animated widget, and don't really worry about how it will do that, because the Flutter framework will handle everything for you. So let's see what's happened. Did you saw that? Everything working really weird because everything is rotating. Okay, maybe this is too much, but again, you can put any kind of animated container inside of anything of widget. We can, for example, having this container wrapped, instead of wrapping everything, let's wrap just this widget with animated rotation. And The turns should be active. One, zero. Now just the widget, just the red box will rotate. Let's see. What can I say? It turned out better than expected, because if I haven't had a proper interval to this, it will actually look that it tripped out while falling, for example. Let's try this. It's, as I said, it's interactive. I'm just improvising right now. So let's say that the rotation should start. If I say 0.1, what will happen here? Will happen that it will rotate after the line got away, but I don't want that. I want to do halfway in a way that looks like that it tripped after the widget moved. So it will look like, I think, it will look like the widget tripped out, but I want to do more. I'm just going on 3 wheels right now. So when going down, I want these. When it is going up, I don't want an animation. So it will start at 0 and it will end at 0. So we don't have any kind of animation because it won't happen. Let's see. Maybe it was too fast. Yeah, because it's not having the same duration, I think. More or less. Okay, we can do better, but I think that is already incredible. And we did that with just few line of code, one property, and just playing with the value to see that. Do you have any question? I am more than happy to answer you.
Hi again. We have 2 questions from chat. Yes, one of them is Muhammad asked that he used animated container before and he got a problem with icon that he gave size. Then when he's changing the size of the container, so what he's asking that what can he do for this?
I already answered that during the talk, but we can actually try this out. Let's say that we have a, sorry, I mistyped one parenthesis, I think. So let's say that instead of that, we have a child that is an icon with whatever icons dot, let's see, a cool icon. Since it's becoming winter, let's put an AC unit icon in the middle. Okay, so what is the question here? As far as I understood, is that if I wrap this one with the animated container and I change the size, let's format these to be more readable. Duration, let's say seconds 2. And I actually change the size, for example, from width 200 to 100. And the same for the 8. I expect that the icon will grow and shrink, but what is really happening is that nothing is happening. Why? Let's put a color and see what's happening. Okay, what's happened? What's happened here? Oh, I know that. Okay. Don't worry for the error you see. Basically, what's happening is that I changed the property of a color from nothing to a color, so the animation almost broke, but this is something that can happen while changing the property of the animated container live. So let's ignore for now this. I don't know if it will go away. As you can see, the animated container is properly growing and shrinking, but the icon inside it's staying the same. Why? Because we don't actually change what it is inside the container until the item is not the size of the container. So if inside of these I add another container that have the same width of the parent and mate, that will be always the same. Color these green, just to have more visibility. Yes, because it's missing the alignment. Sure. Okay. In this case, as you can see, the content will shrink accordingly, but it's because the container will be the same size of the content will be the same size of the container. In the case of the icon, that didn't happen because the icon size stayed the same. How we can fix that? It's easy. Instead of using the icon, use the animated icon. No, sorry. We need another widget for that, actually. Instead of the animated container, we need the animated scale. Animated scale will basically do an animation. Let's give the duration. We don't need the animated container anymore. We'll use the scale that is represented by the size multiplier of the widget we are looking at. So when we say that the scale should be 2, it means that the icon size will be double the original size. When we say 1, it will be the actual size. So let's see now, it should animate correctly, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have another question?
Yes. He's also asking that the icon size is fitting the container. Then when he's changing the container size, the icon gets smaller and there's a text showing up next to the icon.
I don't really understand this question. So what you want to do is that the animation is that when is active, let's say, the text appear and the icon will get smaller.
Yes, let me read again. The icon size is fitting the container. Then when he's changing the container size, the icon gets smaller and there is a text showing up next to the icon. But is this a question or comment? I didn't get it correctly, I guess. If he wants to make it like a more question, you can also write again on the chat.
Let's say that we want something like this. Maybe I did not understand correctly, but if we want something like this, when this is active, the icon will be on the left of the text and the icon will be smaller. We can obtain this by using the animated scale on the icon, dropping everything in a row, like I did right now, wrapping the text in an animated side. Of course, we need to put the duration.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, let's change the text from being present when active or just an empty string that doesn't occupy the same size when not active. This will be the result. Of course, we can work on it being more good to look, but more or less is what I suppose we want as a result. And of course, if these won't have such long duration, but it will be something smaller, like a normal animation of this kind usually is about 300 milliseconds just to hide some bad behavior. It will be like this. We can even improve that by adding the animated opacity. And these will hide more issue. So these will be opacity should be visible when active. So active 1 and hidden when not active. Now it's cool to see. Of course, if we want to do more movement, we need to check how we want to move this widget at all. But as you can see, it's already pretty looked good.
Yes, thanks so much. And I guess we have one more question.
Yes, tell me.
Yes. Like we guess you already answered this question, but someone asked again. And he's asking that what is the effect of animations on performance?
Again, I don't really have benchmark on these, but as far as I tested, if you use this kind of animation, unless you don't do something really 10,000 animations at the same time on the screen, Flutter is really good at merging all the animations, so the actual work is done once for each pixel, let's say that, but it's an extreme simplification. And then even if you have many things moving at the same time on the screen, it won't impact on the performance really much. If you stay with the intrinsic animation, because if you work with the traditional animations, you may have some problem in performance if you do that in the wrong way. But in this case, is just a change of state that Flutter handle by itself.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, like they are asking for a second event, like the second part of this.
You want more animation?
Yeah.
If you give me some input for what kind of animation you want to see, we can prepare another experience, and we will see in detail how we can do that.
Okay.
For example, I don't know if everything exploded if I change page, so I won't do that. But I will share with the organizers a link for my attempt at the Flutter Puzzle Challenge. It was not really completed because I didn't have the time, but it was done all with the animated alignment. Basically, I moved the piece of the puzzle on tapping just by changing the alignment on the widget. The code is also open source on GitHub, so I will share with the organizer the link and they can share it with you.
Okay, it will be better. Thank you so much. Like our questions are finished for now. You can like continue with the other part. If we have any question, I will ping you.
I just finished, to be honest, my presentation. Okay. But since someone asked about the performance, I want to try some kind of funny game. Let's see what's happened. So let's say that we have inner return. Okay. I'm just playing with the framework. I have no idea on what it can happen with what I'm doing. So please, if something explodes, just laugh with me because I will probably laugh. So container colors dot red. Let's say this should be 850, 20. Say 20. Okay, and then with 22, this container should have a height 30 maybe. Maybe I shall run it again because everything may explode. May not dart. Okay, I forgot something. I don't know why it is not working, but stop and run it again. What I want to do right now, just to experiment, I'm creating a list view with a lot of elements, and I will try to animate all the elements at once. I will even put more elements just to see what's happening. And let's see when we have more element in place, what will happen. Okay.
Let's see.
Right now, nothing that I expected happening because I forgot, as usual, the alignment. The alignment is the most forgotten thing by me. Alignment. Center left. I expect many small cubes on the left. Okay. Right now this work. Now the best part. Animated alignment. Let's put a duration of let's say half second. Maybe yes. Okay. And if active, left, otherwise right. Okay, let's see I'm animating infinite elements. And as you can see, no performance issue here. But I want to raise the stake of these and add a stack. Add a others container that does different things. So these will do the opposite, and it will be green. This will be blue. And instead of 500 will durate 700. These will be orange. And it will do the opposite, and we'll do that in 600. I think we have enough element on screen to say that we should worry about performance, but I will say it's really cool.
Yeah.
Does this solve the issue of performance to whoever it asked? Of course, we can do random animation, but maybe another time because I still have to have my dinner right now.
Okay, like then we can if there is any question on the chat, let's check.
If you can stop the screen sharing, I can get back at the main screen so I can see you.
Okay. Let's
just to say to who asked for the random animation. Of course, because it's like I'm just changing a parameter. So I can just say when I tap on a button, give me another random color, and it will change to a random animation, basically. Or rotate by a random amount of turn.
Okay, thank you so much for suggestions. Like, guys, do you have any question?
I think everything's clear.
Okay, it seems they don't have any question. If you want, we can like close the presentation and you can eat your dinner.
That's fine. So I'm really happy that you liked this presentation, and I hope you had just as fun as me as dealing with random animation like rotating the whole screen, because it was really improvised at the moment. So I just had fun with you, and I hope you had the same fun with me.
Yeah, it's like all same for us. We are very happy to see you today with us. We hope to see you again with the second part of this presentation.
Of course.
By the way, there's a new question now from Mohammed.
If you want, I can read it. If we want to change the all application theme from dark to light, which animation widget is doing this without overwriting everything with animated container?
This looks like a difficult question, but implicit animation are extremely powerful. You just have the animated theme widget. So you wrap your application in animated theme, just change the theme with the parameters, and you have the animated theming change.
Okay.
Yes, he's watching us. Actually, he is not watching. He's suggesting to me what I have to say because I'm not really a good programmer. He's Dash, the real programmer here.
Yeah. That's all, I think. Yeah.
So, thank you for inviting me. Can't wait to continue with the second part. I think we have something scheduled, but at this point we can do another animation talk. I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, Carlo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Then
See
bye-bye.
you.